1973, new Bond Roger Moore in place. And in 1974, they managed to bring out another film. 2 Bond films in 2 years. Can you imagine that? At the snail's pace Eon have been making them in the last couple of decades. So it's 1974 and it's The Man with the Golden Gun. This Bond film usually comes near the bottom of people's rankings. It used to come near the bottom of mine, but something happened that improved it. I'll come on to that a little bit later. So Man with the Golden Gun is Bond's martial art films. Don't forget, martial arts were huge at this time, and Bond had a bit of it. Roger Moore is not a martial artist, and I quite like the fact that he's not portrayed as James Bond is not a martial arts expert. In this, he's a good fighter, but he manages to get out of fights rather than finish them. I am critical when Bond follows and not leads. So 1973's Live and Let Die followed the blaxploitation era. This follows the martial arts era. But it's got a certain charm about it. It really has. So Top Secret, there's an energy crisis. Top secret MacGuffin called the Solar Agitator goes missing. A government scientist gets killed by the Man with the Golden Gun, Francisco Scaramanga, wonderfully played by Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee plays one of the best Bond villains in this. It was originally offered to Jack Palance, to thankfully turn it down. And Christopher Lee, who was Ian Fleming's cousin in real life, plays almost, I'm not saying almost, plays an anti-Bond. And he's that deluded, he thinks he's an equal to Bond. And Bond says, no, you're a maniac. So he's a former KGB hitman turned assassin for hire at $1 million a shot. And he has a golden gun, which is made from some cufflinks, a cigarette lighter, a pen that he kind of all slots together and comes out with this magnificent prop, which Christopher Lee once got arrested for. He was going to America and he had the prop. He tried to take it through customs and he went, hold on, even back then, you can't bring guns with you. It's a lighter and it's a... But Christopher Lee is magnificent in this film. He really is. One of the best Bond villains. And physically, he is Bond's equal and intellectually. And he has a certain amount of class with him. On the flip side, Britt Ekland as Mary Goodnight. Now, in Mary Goodnight's Bond's secretary in some of the books, she's kind of a goofy klutz in this. Britt Ekland looks amazing. She's all right. She's a bit wooden. Yeah. Maud Adams is in it as Scaramanga's girlfriend. Now, Maud Adams, in her first of her 2, maybe 3 Bond appearances, was excellent in this. So they got 2 Swedish actors. And when they talked together in Swedish on the set, Christopher Lee joined in, being the man of many languages. So this MacGuffin goes missing. Bit of a chase, all set around Asia. La-di-da-di-da. Villain's lair. Now, this is quite clear in my head because recently some friends of ours went to Thailand on holiday where the film's made, and went to James Bond Island where the end of the film is. And it looks amazing. I really want to go. I really want to go to James Bond Island. So, yeah. Bit of a villain's lair at the end. Good set design. To me, it's a perfectly functional Bond film. The dialogue in it, I think, is some of the snappiest and funniest. And I think a lot of the jokes are really subtle, kind of dark. And they do work. Roger Moore has really hit his stride very quickly as Bond. He looks $1 million. He's tanned, he's good looking. He plays it slightly darker, which is slightly problematic a bit later on. He does hit Andrea Anders, played by Maud Adams, and twists him. And Roger didn't like it. He says, I'm turning into Connery's Bond. And this is probably the point where they decided after this that James Bond should become Roger Moore than Roger Moore become James Bond. I'm a big Roger Moore fan. I think he's a very underrated actor. You see a different Bond in The Man with the Golden Gun. You really do. A lot darker. Do I like it? The portrayal's different. I quite like it in this film, but Roger's Bond films are Roger, and we love them. So on the whole, it's a perfectly good Bond film. But for years, I had a big downer on it because of this. This was the first Bond film that I actually physically bought. So Warner Home Video, one of the, when was it released? 1989. So the usual Warner Home Videos, cut bit of a cover. There's a tape inside. This is the worst transfer you've ever seen. Now I bought this, for some reason it sticks around, I bought this for $4.99 from a shop called Reedy's The Home of Music in Blackburn. I bought it, got it home and went, that's really bad quality. Look at this transfer.
As your referee, I will administer it myself.
Isn't that bad? It gets even worse for some of the nighttime scenes.
Foo yuck.
74, sir.
So it's barely unwatchable, and for years I had a bit of a downer on this film. I should have taken it back to the shop, but I thought, I paid £4.99 for it. I will never get it as cheap to own, and I really said I want to start collecting these. Appalling. What really made me reassess this film was in 2022, I went to see this at a Sony 4K certified cinema. And it looked amazing. Because of the non-letterbox, the non-Panavision film ratio, it completely filled the cinema screen. And it looked absolutely pristine. It was gorgeous. One of the most gorgeous films I've seen at the cinema for years. And because it completely filled your field of vision, wow. Also, it was the first Bond film I took my son to see, who was 5 at the time. And he loved it. And I put a link in this to a review we did straight after. I was so excited to take him to a Bond film. I didn't take him to see the Connery films because I thought, are they a little bit too dark in places? I thought, wait for a bit of Roger Moore. Let's get Man with the Golden Gun out of the way because that's about the supernatural. Man with the Golden Gun sounded like a perfect fit, and it was. We loved it. It was really a really special night for me to set my son to see his first Bond film. He was 5. I was 6 when I saw my first one with Moonraker back in the day in 1979. He loved it. He's aged 8 now and he's a huge Bond fan. He's a huge Bond fan. He loves it. Yeah. So this is now forgiven because the film just looked so amazing at the cinema. Now all films look a lot better at the cinema, but this in particular, the locales and the very glamorous locales in Asia completely filled the screen, and wow, it was jaw-droppingly good. It really was. So DVD I bought later on. Let's look at some of those fantastic DVD menus.
Welcome to The Man with the Golden Gun Special Edition DVD. Please activate your navigation system now.
There's more to you than meets the eye. Good night.
Oh, a surprise.
Bonjour, Monsieur Bond.
Oh, yes. The Man with the Golden Gun.
And it comes from this. I bought this when I was on holiday in Canada, part of a box set, and I'd never actually got another version of this. Bit of a dull cover, to be honest. But as all of these, they come with quite a nice booklet. There you are. Put the case under my arm. Booklet with Roger, Morden, Brit. Roger Delkin Rawley, tanned and handsome. And there you go. Scaramanga. The superfluous papilla. Brilliant. So it is a Bond film that's really gone up since I saw it again at the cinema. And as always on these videos, let's score it. What are the scores on the doors, Rog? So for the mission, I'm giving it 5 00s out of 7. Where we are with energy and net zero at the moment, you can really relate to an energy crisis in this film. So I think the story's got better over time, and the fact that there is, for once, a villain that's almost an equal to 007. Like it. You know, it's peak Richard Maybaum, Tom Mankiewicz era, this. You know what you're going to get, don't you? Snappily written. I quite like the story. Then there's the spectacle, what it looks like. I just scored this really low years ago. I've seen it at the cinema. I'm going to give it 5 out of 7 again. I've told you already, when it filled the field of vision, how stupendously gorgeous it looked at the cinema. And the locales and the cinematography and Guy Hamilton's direction. This is a real step up from Live and Let Die, which I thought looked a bit cheap. One set does look a bit cheap in this, when he's in Beirut, and there's the fight in Saida's dressing room when she loses her charm, when you can see the cameraman. So yes, you can see the camera operators, and you know what? Good on Eon for not trying to digitally brush this out. It happened. It's in the movie. We can all have a good laugh about it. The soundtrack, however, is not one of John Barry's best. It really isn't. And I'm going to give that a score of 4 out of 7. It's fine. But compared to the other John Barry ones, and it's not his favourite, I think it was his least favourite Bond that he scored. It was all right. However, Lulu's theme is a bit of a banger, and when it comes back at the end, she absolutely knocks the roof off the cinema. She sings a different version at the end. Wow, Lulu. It's like a foghorn. So, on the whole, The Man with the Golden Gun is a Bond film that needs reappraising. I think it's been given an unfair panning at the Simon. This is at the end of Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman's business relationship, and for a time the personal relationship. Don't forget, Saltzman was in financial trouble, wouldn't sell to Broccoli, sold to United Artists, and that is the reason why Amazon MGM Studios have now taken control of the film series. And it all goes back to the split, the schism in Bond. After, well, not really a schism, he sold it. Harry sold it. And that's why The Spy Who Loved Me really ramps it up, because it was Eon, everything or nothing. And The Man with the Golden Gun was everything or nothing. So, The Man with the Golden Gun, I would recommend you revisit it. Please do. Watch on the biggest screen possible, in high definition of 4K, if you can get hold of it. Not saying from where, but it's worth reappraising. It really is. Seeing it at the cinema completely changed my view of the movie. It really did. We sat pretty low on my Bond rankings before that, and it's risen considerably. It looked gorgeous, and compared to Live and Let Die, which looked very much in the studio, the location filming really stands out. All right, the flying car is a bit naff, but it was the 70s, and the fact that by some huge coincidence, Sheriff J.W. Pepper is on holiday when James Bond there. They do it quite well, because J.W. does look twice. There's been some criticism, why is he looking at American cars on holiday? Well, he's a patriotic American, isn't he? So he wants to look at exports, and did they have any tariffs on then? We really, I don't know. I was warm when this film come out. So there you go, Man with a Golden Gun. Bye Harry Saltzman after this. And there was supposed to be an elephant chase in this film, and Harry actually ordered elephant shoes. He said, "What are these?" "Oh, they're for the elephant chase." "What elephant chase?" So Harry was in financial difficulties. Then he had some personal difficulties with his wife being very ill and passing away. And it's very sad. And thankfully, him and Cubby reconciled a few weeks later, a few years later, sorry. I think it was For Your Eyes Only premiere. Near the end of Harry's life, they made the personal bonding. And it was a special bond. So this is a real bookmark in Bond history where Harry Saltzman goes, and it's purely in the hands of Albert R. Cubby Broccoli from now on.
I've lost my charm!
Not from where I'm standing.